1. Italy Rugby's Ross Vintcent ready to take on Springboks in Pretoria. 2. Springboks vs Italy Rugby analysis. Do Toit's honest take on South Africa's victory. 3. Springboks vs Italy. Can Italy finally beat South Africa? Loftus Versfeld preview. 4. Springboks vs Italy. Wake-up call for South Africa. 1. Italy Rugby's Ross Vintcent ready to take on Springboks in Pretoria. Imagine facing the reigning world champions on their home turf. That's the daunting, yet exhilarating, reality for Italy's rugby team as they land in South Africa for a 2-test series against the Springboks. But for rising star Ross Vintcent, it's not just a challenge. It's a golden opportunity to prove himself against the very best. South Africa isn't pulling any punches. They've named a squad brimming with talent for the first match in Pretoria, signaling they're taking the Azzurri seriously. This isn't just a friendly. It's a statement of intent. Before facing the Springbok storm, Italy warmed up with a resounding 73-6 victory over Namibia in Windhoek, racking up an impressive 11 tries and keeping their own try line untouched. A great result, right? But here's where it gets controversial. The altitude in Windhoek presented a unique challenge. It was a very tough game, emotionally and physically, Vintcent admitted, reflecting on the altitude factor. It was the first time I played at altitude in a while, and 1,800 meters above sea level was never going to be easy. We felt it during the week leading up to the Namibia game. Despite a few disciplinary hiccups, the Italians displayed clinical attacking prowess and a resilient defense qualities they'll need in spades when they step onto the field at Loftus Versfeld. Can they maintain that discipline under the immense pressure the Springboks will bring? Namibia are a physical side, and it was a good stepping stone for the 2 tests we are about to face, Vintcent added. We're happy we didn't concede any tries, and from an attacking point of view, 11 tries is very pleasing. Many of Italy's players aren't strangers to the Springboks' hard-nosed style of play. Their involvement in the United Rugby Championship, URC, and the Champions Cup has given them a taste of what's to come. Vintcent himself, who plays for Exeter Chiefs, has already battled against the Sharks, providing a valuable preview. I was lucky enough to play the Sharks in December. Going up against some of the big names like Bongi Mbonambi, Afalil Fassi, and Andre Esterhuizen was a cool experience, Vintcent told sportsboom.com. It definitely helps that a lot of our guys have seen South African opposition in the URC. That experience is crucial, especially in areas like the set piece. Having that exposure to their physical, structured style of play will hopefully put us in good stead. One of the most anticipated clashes will undoubtedly be in the loose forward department. Vintcent could find himself locking horns with titans like Jasper Wiese, Vincent Chituka, and Marco van Staden. Even without stalwarts Sia Khaleesi and Pieter-Steph du Toit, South Africa's depth in this area remains world-class. And this is the part most people miss. The Springboks' back row isn't just about brute strength. It's about tactical intelligence and relentless work rate. I am looking forward to testing myself against the best. If I get picked, Vintcent said. You always want to challenge yourself against the top players. And South Africa definitely have one of the best back rows in world rugby. But Italy isn't the same team it used to be. Under the guidance of Argentinian head coach Gonzalo Quesada, Italian rugby has undergone a quiet revolution. Once perennial underdogs in the Six Nations, the Azzurri have shown remarkable progress in 2024, including a draw against France and a victory over Scotland, demonstrating increasing consistency. 2. Springboks vs Italy Rugby analysis. Do Toit's honest take on South Africa's victory. South Africa's world champion rugby team faced a rude awakening last weekend, even as they secured a 42-24 victory over Italy in Pretoria. But here's the uncomfortable truth. A 28-3 halftime lead turned into a nail-biter, with Italy's passionate second-half surge leaving the Springboks questioning their execution. While this mid-year test beautifully showcased Italy's emerging talent, does an underwhelming performance from a top-tier team like South Africa raise deeper questions about their World Cup readiness? Let's unpack this. Thomas du Toit, the Bath forward excluded from the first matchday squad, delivered a refreshingly honest assessment of the team's shortcomings. "We fell short of our standards in critical areas," he admitted, acknowledging the squad's need for hard reflection. This isn't just about individual mistakes. It's about tactical alignment and resilience against fired-up opponents. Italy may have rested first-choice players, but their young squad's energy and tactical discipline, particularly in defending their 22, exposed vulnerabilities South Africa must urgently address. But here's where it gets complicated. Should we admire Italy's "our house" defensive strategy, or view their physicality as crossing the line into aggression? Coach Rassi Erasmus and Captain Jesse Creel's visible frustration post-game hinted at tactical execution issues. As Toit noted, "They don't mess around in their own half, and we let them dictate terms." With Italy aiming to build on this momentum in Kebra, South Africa faces a litmus test of mental toughness. Toit's versatility could prove crucial in the second test. He's comfortable at both loose head and tight head prop, a rare adaptability that coaches cherish. Yet his focus remains on the team's collective improvement. "It's about where the squad needs me," he emphasized, rejecting any concern over positional preference. But does this flexibility avoid deeper issues? Some might argue that consistent line-out or scrum roles matter more, but Toit's pragmatic approach reflects South Africa's grit-over-glamour ethos. What changes would you demand from the Springboks ahead of the rematch? Should they prioritize exploiting Italy's inexperience or addressing their own disciplinary lapses? Sound off in the comments. Let's debate whether passion trumps preparation in rugby's high-stakes world. 3. Springboks versus Italy. Can Italy finally beat South Africa? Loftus Versfeld preview. When it comes to rugby showdowns, few rivalries spark as much anticipation as South Africa versus Italy. But here's where it gets interesting. While the Springboks enter this clash as overwhelming favorites, the Azzurri are showing signs of becoming a far more formidable opponent than ever before. Let's break this down. South Africa kicks off their 2025 Test season this Saturday at Loftus Versfeld in Pretoria, coming off a commanding 54-7 victory over the Barbarians in Cape Town. That performance alone would suggest a one-sided contest. But Italy's recent progress tells a different story. While the Azzurri have only secured one win against a Tier 1 nation this year, a crucial 30-23 upset over Wales in the Six Nations, their 2024 season was historic, 3 wins against Tier 1 teams, matching their best-ever tally achieved in 1997. And remember, Italy's 2016 win over Alistair Coetzee Springboks remains their only triumph in 16 attempts. Yet it's a moment that still fuels passionate debate among fans. Could the Azzurri pull off another shocker? The Springboks, reigning world champions, boast a 78% win rate at Loftus Versfeld, where they've yet to face Italy. But Gonzalo Quesada's men are no pushovers. Their 73-6 dismantling of Namibia last weekend proves they're in form, and with players like Simone Jesai and Alessandro Fusco leading the charge, they'll aim to capitalize on any cracks in the box armor. Key players to watch. Damian Willems returns to action after a frustrating 2024 season plagued by hand and groin injuries, not to mention a 3-game suspension following a dangerous tackle in the URC. His inclusion at fullback adds intrigue. Meanwhile, Eben Etzebeth is set to break his own record for most Springbok caps, reaching 132 appearances. On the other side, Italy's Niccolò Canoni captains a side brimming with emerging talent, including Test debutant Vincent Chituka, who impressed in the unofficial clash against the Barbarians. Stats don't lie. South Africa has won 16 of their last 18 matches, including 2 40-plus point margins against Italy in 2019 and 2022. Yet Italy's 2024 breakthroughs, like their first-ever victory over England in 2024, show they're evolving. But here's the catch. Can they translate that progress into a meaningful challenge against the world's best? And this is the part most people miss. The psychological edge. Loftus Versfeld is a fortress for the Springboks, and with the crowd behind them, momentum could swing either way. Italy's physicality and growing confidence might just disrupt the box rhythm. So what do you think? Is this a mismatch, or is there a genuine chance for an upset? Drop your thoughts in the comments. After all, rugby's beauty lies in its unpredictability. and this match promises to deliver just that. 4. Springboks vs Italy, wake-up call for South Africa. The Springboks' 42-24 victory over Italy was a win that felt like a loss, a stark reminder that even champions can't afford to coast on reputation alone. This weekend's lackluster performance in Genoa didn't just expose cracks in their armor, it ignited a firestorm of internal scrutiny that could reshape South Africa's rugby hierarchy faster than anyone anticipated. But here's where it gets controversial. When does a wake-up call cross the line into a full-blown identity crisis? Let's unpack the tension brewing in the Bok camp and why this frustration might be the catalyst they desperately need. On paper, an 18-point win sounds like a job well done. Yet Rassie Erasmus' post-match frustration spoke volumes. The Boks didn't just stumble in the second half, they were outmuscled at the breakdown, outsmarted in the lineouts, and outfought by an Italian side missing 17 key players. That 22-meter rolling maul try? A masterclass in embarrassment. Imagine being world champions and getting pushed around by a team ranked 14th in the world. This wasn't just a slip-up, it was a system failure. And this is the part most people miss. The Boks' high standards aren't just about winning, they're about dominating with precision. Anything less feels like a betrayal of their legacy. So, what's the real issue here? Let's break it down. The Boks have been juggling two ambitious goals, blooding young talent while extending the careers of veteran double World Cup winners. It's a delicate balancing act. Think of it like a recipe. Too much youthful energy without guidance leads to chaos, but too much reliance on aging stars risks stagnation. The plan was to evolve their attacking strategy, blending experience with fresh legs. But against Italy, that plan looked half-baked. The bomb squad, South Africa's famed impact players, failed to detonate. Instead of ramping up intensity, they let Italy dictate the pace. For second-half tries conceded? Unacceptable for a team that prides itself on ruthless efficiency. Erasmus didn't mince words. We knew they'd man up, he admitted, and they did in every department. The Boks' 28-3 halftime lead masked deeper problems. When a disallowed try sapped their momentum, they crumbled. This wasn't complacency, it was a lack of adaptability. High standards? Absolutely. But when you set the bar that high, even a win can taste like defeat. And here's the kicker, the real test isn't about bouncing back against Italy. It's about whether the Boks can reconcile their evolution with their identity. Can they stay true to their DNA while embracing change? The jury's still out. So, what's next? Erasmus hinted at a squad shakeup with rising stars like Sasha Feinberg and Gomezzola poised to start while veterans Pieter-Steph du Toit and Sia Khaleesi return from injury. But this isn't just about rotation, it's about sending a message. Underperforming players are officially on notice. As Erasmus bluntly put it, we won't discard them, but some might move to the bench. Translation, shape up or ship out. The upcoming selection for the Kebra test will reveal who's in the hot seat. And let's not forget the bruised egos Erasmus mentioned. This is personal now. Players aren't just fighting for positions, they're fighting to prove they still belong in the Bok jersey. But here's the bigger picture, this wake-up call might be a blessing in disguise. Better to stumble now than during the Rugby World Cup. The Boks' #1 ranking isn't a birthright, it's a privilege they must defend daily. As Erasmus noted, the frustration wasn't just about not dominating, it was the stop-start rhythm. We lacked intensity. That's code for, we looked mortal. And mortality is a hard pill to swallow for a team accustomed to invincibility. So, where do we go from here? The Boks need to ask themselves tough questions. Can they maintain their physical edge while refining their attack? How do they balance youth development with the urgency of winning? And let's stir the pot, is it time to question whether the bomb squad concept still works, or if it's become a crutch? The answers won't be comfortable. But as Erasmus said, it's a proper test match, and proper tests demand honesty. Final thought, the Boks' journey to greatness isn't a straight line, it's a roller coaster of triumphs and teachable moments. This Italy test was a speed bump with a silver lining. Now, it's time to decide, will they hit the reset button or double down on their identity? Share your verdict below. Should the Boks stick with their evolution plan, or is it time to revert to their tried-and-true formula? Let's hear it, the debate starts now.